I couldn't help reaching my hand to touch that mysterious mermaid. She didn't refuse me. Even though she couldn't speak, I think she could understand me. I simply jumped into the water, wanting to get closer to her. The mermaid soon appeared right beside me. I smiled to show my goodwill. She also raised her arm, letting me hold her shoulder, and took me down to the bottom to explore the scenery below. But soon we were discovered. I was strictly forbidden to go near there again because the mermaid was the king's private property, and I was just an orphan composer lucky enough to be favored by the king. But I still secretly came every day to talk to the mermaid. As time passed, I even got to know Yves, the sailor who guarded the mermaid. One day, while riding a horse, I was tripped by a branch, fell heavily from the horse and broke my arm. The doctor coldly declared that amputation was the only way to save my life.
No.
I screamed in my heart. I was so young. I was a cellist. How could I lose my arm? Just when I was in utter despair, Yves suddenly showed up and told me the mermaid wanted to help. He carried me to the pool and put me in the water. The mermaid quickly appeared and swam to my side. She examined my wound, looking at me with such pity in her eyes. Then she began to circle around me. A miracle happened. Rays of warm golden light surrounded me and my arm soon healed. So the mermaid really did have magical powers. I thought the king had brought her here to help the sick, and I admired him deeply for it. But the king said he had other plans. I didn't think much of it, until one day the king suddenly called me over and handed me a pendant. Inside was a portrait of a woman. She was my mother, and the king was actually my father. Before I could even feel happy about discovering my origins, the king said he was going to marry me off for political alliance to ease the country's financial crisis. How ridiculous. He had never raised me for a single day, yet suddenly appeared and asked me to sacrifice myself. I had prayed countless times to be given parents, but now I wished I had never made that wish. Heartbroken, I went to see the mermaid, but the moment I touched her, strange memories flooded into my mind. I saw her being forcibly taken from the sea, saw her husband and child still waiting for her to come home. She was just like me, trapped by the king. I decided to find a way to set her free, but when I returned to my room, I found an anatomy diagram of the mermaid. The king wanted to kill her to gain immortality. Furious, I stormed straight into the king's study.
You return her to the sea, and I will consent to this marriage.
You can't haggle with your king like some shopkeeper.
He spoke high-sounding words, but I finally saw that the man I once admired was nothing but a despicable, selfish person. He locked me up, telling me to prepare for the wedding. I had to pretend to obey, change into my wedding dress, followed the priest out of the room, then seized the chance to run toward the cave where the mermaid was imprisoned. Yves and I opened the valve to raise the water level, so the mermaid could jump into the drain pipe and escape. The doctor came with men to stop us and wounded Yves. I fought the doctor desperately, urging the mermaid to leave quickly with Yves. Seeing her successfully leap over the valve, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. But that wasn't enough. I rode my horse toward the seaside cliff, ready to stop the king and his troops from pursuing. I dismounted and ran to the edge of the cliff. Seeing that the mermaid had already jumped into the sea and Yves was also safe, I was relieved. But the king's soldiers had already raised their guns and his fleet was blocking the river mouth. I had to gamble on the king's final shred of mercy as a father.
You take the mermaid, she gives you life. You let her live, she saves mine.
Then I jumped off the cliff without hesitation. My gamble worked. My father finally ordered them to lower their guns. The mermaid swam toward me, and the golden light surrounded me again. I slowly opened my eyes and saw an underwater kingdom before me. In this deep blue world was the mermaid's home, and a place of freedom.